Hi, everybody. Tony again here with Shinsho Yoga. And this week, I'd like to just share a story with you. This is one of the stories that I've shared in my classes, and it's lessons that I learned from my father. I'm also going to do one on lessons I learned from my mother, and they're very different, but they do complement each other. My father and I were very close. He was a best friend for the majority of my life, and he taught me a lot. This is just one of the things he taught me, but it is a major one. So the concept of the story is going to be around holding space for people. And it's one of the most important things that you could do. When I was a boy, we had a neighbor named John, and John was mentally ill. At the time, it was called manic depression. Now I believe it's called bipolar. He was on lithium, and he was a middle-aged to older man, and he lived with his elderly mother. Her name was Mary, and she was a very nice woman. She was always kind to me. She was always kind to my dad. And I always used to mow their lawn for them. My father, because John was ill and Mary was an elderly woman, my father would always send me over to mow the lawn, at least the front half of their lawn, to try to at least keep their house somewhat decent looking and not be overrun with weeds and grass. But John's illness caused him to, in the summertime, when it got hot, shout and scream throughout his house. You would just hear John yell. Random nonsense. You don't know what he was talking about. It was aggressive, and he'd be just screaming in the house. Now, I'm a small boy, and all of a sudden I would hear this man next door screaming at the top of his lungs. And I would get scared, so I'd ask my father what was going on, and he would just say, "That's John, Tony, and John's sick." Right? And he would, when John was on his medication, he wasn't as bad. But when he didn't take his medication or it got very hot, as it would tend to in the summers here in New Jersey, if you've never been in New Jersey, when you hit July, it can get pretty hot here. John would yell and scream. My father, though, I would often see him at the fence line talking to John. John could drive. John could go out and do things. He was functional. He just had issues. And there was one day particular, I remember, that John was standing at the fence line and my father was talking to him. And my father would always just talk to people. And John just rambled on about things that made no sense. I didn't understand it. Yelling things like shit and Krugerrands and piss and diesel fuel. Literally, those are the things that he would do and ramble on and motherfuckers and I'm a small boy again, and this is frightening to me. But as long as I'm with my father, I wasn't afraid, and I saw my father wasn't afraid. So I would stand with my dad, and all he would do was smile and nod and go, "Oh yeah, oh okay, sure, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, that John, oh really, I didn't understand a word John was saying. I didn't know how my father understood anything he was saying. But it turns out he did. When we would come inside after John would finish his rant, I would say to my father, I'd say, "Papa, what was John saying?" My father would go, "How the hell do I know?" And I'd say, "You're the one, you were talking to him, Dad." He says, "Tone, I wasn't talking to him. I was just listening." He said, "John's ill. Most people are afraid of him. He doesn't have friends. He doesn't have anyone to talk to. He needs someone to just listen. So I just listen." And that's what my father would do. He would just let him talk, and he would listen. He did this for me many times in my life too, right? He was always there for me to talk to, and I remember specifically at one time when I was in my 20s and I had, gone out with friends and had a bad night. And, as a young man, you go out, or as a younger person, men or women, men and women, you may put yourself into dangerous situations trying to go out and have fun. And there was some situation night, I don't even remember what it was. I had gone out and came back the next day, was telling my father about it, and he went into dad mode. And I said, "Hey, Pop, right now I need you to just be a friend." So he shut up, and he listened, and he let me tell the story. And then when I was done with the story, he asked me, "Are you done with the story?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Good, now it's time for me to be your father." And that's when he chewed me out for the bad decisions that I had made. But he made sure to listen to me first. And that's one of the greatest gifts you can give anyone. And that is just to hold space. You don't have to solve anyone's problem. You don't have to offer them advice. Right? You don't have to, poor baby them, like, "Oh my God, that's a..." You just have to listen. Really, truly listen, though. Not just, "Uh-huh, uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh." Or better yet, if you've got a cell phone, "Uh-huh, sure. Oh, yeah." That's not a cell phone, but really, truly listening to what someone says, giving them that time, giving them the space, right, to just be able to express themselves, to share, let them say what they have to say, not judging them, not telling them what they should have done or what they shouldn't have done, or trying to, again, poor baby them, like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you go through that. That's so horrible." Just hold space. Just listen. Someone comes to you with a problem. When someone comes to me with a problem, and I get it a lot, I'm often told I'm easy to talk to because, I learned this from my father, so I just let people talk. But I don't always let people talk. In that, when they come to me with a problem, much like my father, when I went to my father with a problem, I ask them, "Are you looking for me just to listen, or do you want my input?" Right? Most people want both. Most people, I found, want you to listen first and then give input. But that listening first is very important. Now, if someone says to me, I just need to vent," I just let them vent. I don't care if I have an opinion on it or not. That's not what they need. That's not holding space for them. Holding space for them is allowing them to do what they need to do to be able to get themselves right over whatever the situation, to get it out, to be able to clear their mind, right? With that, though, caveat, right? Warning. That doesn't mean that you are the dumpster for everyone and their problems. Something I have to work on and set boundaries with, right? When you do this for people, you can often become a dumpster, right? Every time there's a problem, they go to vent. We all have to, venting to someone is important, but that shouldn't be your go-to. Your go-to, you should be able to deal with it internally with your practice. Right? But sometimes it's just too much. And sometimes maybe you're not in a place to, and you need to vent. So you need that person that you can go to that will just hold space for you and allow you to do that. You, as the person receiving that, have to know when to say when, though. There's going to be people who will just use you for that, and there's going to be times you're going to have to put a boundary up, right, and go, "No. You just can't come and dump on me all the time," especially if there's no equivalent exchange, if there's no reciprocation of that energy, if they're just taking, if they're a user, if they're an energy vampire, right? But learning to hold space for people and just allowing them to be themselves, allowing them to express themselves without offering them a judgment, without telling them what they should have done or what they shouldn't have done, right? Without, again, poor babying them. Just listen. Really, truly listen. And let them talk. In that process, you will have to use your practice. Because there's things that they're going to say that you might go, "Oh man." Let it pass by and breathe. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give somebody. It's just holding space and allowing them to just be themselves. One of the greatest things my father taught me, and he taught me by example, I just watched him do it time and time again. So the next time someone you run into has a problem, maybe you would like to just try that. Just listen, really truly listen, and let them talk. You may do more for them that way than anything else you could do. So, it's my thought for today. Take from that what serves you, get rid of the rest. And as always, follow your breath. Let the thoughts arise, let them pass by, and return to the breath. Thanks again for watching. Namaste.